All right, we're going to see if this works this time. I have no idea. Let's see what we got on YouTube real quick, and we will see. Let's see here. This is unfiltered, unedited, complete disaster of Brian live stream. It says we're live, so let me see what we got here. Here's a link. Okay, let me see if I can put this in the old thing and see if anybody comes in. The thumbnail is going to be messed up till afterwards, most likely, and I may have to go back and chop a little of this out, but we shall see. Whoops. Okay, hang on one second here. Oh, we got all kinds of people waiting in the other one. We got all kinds of people waiting in the other one.
Chapter Chasers Book Club is here, it looks like.
Okay.
I see us on YouTube, but I'm going to have to shut that off because that's messing with me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There we go. We're good. Yeah, we got people on here now. Yes. All right. Well, why don't we just give it a few seconds? This is classic. So, of course, the most professionally made channel that I've ever had on here. I absolutely bungle and fumble and everything. Okay, now we're getting people in. Yes. Everybody, I have big apologies to the audience. I have big apologies to my phenomenal guest tonight. You guys, welcome back to For Whom the Bell Tolls. We had some technical difficulties with our streaming service, and when I say we, I mean me. I will not put this on Mr. Rammel. So I think next time you see me, it's going to be on a different streaming service. You guys, it's been about a month since we've had a For Whom the Bell Tolls, and this guy's been on my radar since I started doing these episodes. So without further ado, because we started recording for about 15 minutes earlier before I realized that the name is Rammel Broadcasting, clearly not BellTube Broadcasting, because I was not broadcasting. I want to welcome in Mr. John Rammel from Rammel Broadcasting. I know you told The Void earlier how you are tonight, but if you wouldn't mind telling our actual viewers how you are, that would be fantastic.
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who's been patient and found us in the live. If you're watching on replay, you know what to do. Yeah, hit the hashtag Team Replay, or you type that in the chat and let me know where you're watching, when you're watching, so I can absolutely schedule some episodes in your time zone. Now, I'm going to highlight some comments because some of these nice people have been waiting around for 20 minutes for my technical issues. Chapter Chasers Book Club, one of our amazing patrons, says hello, hello, hello. Audio is good, by the way. We like that. Josh from Red Fury Books, one of my favorite booktubers, is here. Gendron says, meep, meep, okay. Heidi, it worked. Gormenghast, let's go. Swelter. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing Mr. Rammel probably does.
I do.
Excellent. Maybe we'll get into a little bit to that tonight. Sarah Beth is here. Welcome to John. Marianne's here. Hello, Brian. Hello, John. Fellow Gormenghast and Mockingbird enjoyer. Looks like you've got some fans here as well. How about this? Kellen says, looking forward to this one and happy to finally catch one live. Kellen, I'm happy that we actually did be able to go live. Sarah says, really enjoying your channel, John, and mine too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, Heidi's like, oh, this is great. I love the later the better. So we started earlier, and I think everybody would like to know as well, how did you come up with Rammel Broadcasting for a name of the channel? Because I love it, and it is so innovative.
Back when I first started doing this, I thought I was going to talk about all kinds of things. I even had like the tagline for my channel in the About section said, gaming, movies, music, and books. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of bases to cover. And I even, within the first couple of videos that I put out a movie review, a book review, an album review, and a gaming video with my kids. So I didn't want it to be like John reads books or something like that, because I was doing way more than books, or at least in my mind I was going to be doing more than books. So I wanted a name that was a little bit more broad, no pun intended.
Yeah.
That would kind of cover any base I wanted to. And if I wanted to pivot to a different topic, I could pivot and it would be covered by Rammel Broadcasting. And, it's just, I kind of settled on it. I went with I thought of Rammel TV and all kinds of stuff. And this is the one that sounded the best to me.
Yeah, it's very you. I mean, this is the first time you and I have ever had any interaction, but the name Rammel Broadcasting, it really translates to what you do on screen. It feels like a professional broadcast. I mean, here's Chapter Chaser saying, I came across John's channel a few weeks ago and loved it. Absolutely. Dennis M. Myers, great authors here as well. Cassie's here saying, hello, really enjoying both the channels. I love that. Yeah. It's good stuff. So, and it's funny because when I try to do a little bit of research to do these shows, I went back and watched your first video, and wow, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was certainly,
it's bad. It's really bad.
I'll say it's not quite as polished as what we've come to know and appreciate from the 2025 Rammel Broadcasting experience.
If I was smart, if I was good at business and good at branding, I would scrub the first year and a half of my channel from all existence and pretend that I came into the world fully formed. But I'm not, and I leave it up basically for posterity at this point because I don't know how anybody watches every time I get a comment on one of those videos, I'm like, oh, don't watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's useful because I love to see the evolution when we have guests on. I love to see, okay, so where did they start? Did they start off this great? And in your case, it was authentically you. That I will say. I mean, I don't think that you've necessarily changed in who you are. Obviously, you've gotten considerably better at doing YouTube, as all of us do after our first video. Let me ask you, what was the reason that you decided to get on YouTube in the first place, be it talking about books, TV, albums, or really whatever?
I've always been, I talk too much. Anyone who knows me is like, do you ever shut up? So, and I just go on and on and on. I have a tendency to ramble. So I need an outlet for the amount of things that I want to say. And then I've always been a creative person. I used to, back in the day, I wanted to be like a musician, and I learned how to play the guitar, and I was going to form a band and all this stuff. And then I made home movies with all my friends growing up. Like in high school, we had a VHS recorder, and we'd write scripts, and we'd film all these little videos, and then we'd edit them together. And we did sketch comedy. We did me and my other friend John were trying to make an actual movie for his senior project in school. But I've always been interested in stuff like that. And then you just see other people online doing it, and I thought, with the amount of things I wanted to say, I think, and the creative outlet that it provided for me, and then I just thought, you know what? I want to give this a try. I think I might be able to do this. And I wasn't very good at it. I learned quickly, I'm not good at this. But
you certainly came across like you're having fun with it, and that you were excited to be going on this YouTube adventure. What was that moment like for you when you hit publish for the very first time? Do you recall what that was like?
No,
Is it too far back in the distant past?
It's a really long time ago. I put 2 videos together. I put them up both on the same day.
Oh, that's good.
Because I wanted one to link to the other and the other to link back to it. And it was I don't know. And I was super excited. And I thought it was going to do a whole lot better than it did. And I put them up there, and I got maybe 40 views. I was like, oh, YouTube isn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be this, you put stuff up and people watch it, right? No,
absolutely.
Really.
The sponsors come calling, and the millions of the viewers.
I didn't expect to be big, but I didn't expect it to be as soul crushing as it was those first couple of videos. You're like, oh, this isn't at all.
Have you found that creating on YouTube kind of satisfies that itch that you had earlier in life, like when you're talking about making movies or learning to play guitar in bands? Have you found that to be a suitable outlet for your creativity?
100%. Yes. I'm forever I can't leave well enough alone. I'm always tweaking the shot or the lights, or I'm working on this. I'm like, no, the framing doesn't look quite right. This doesn't look good. And I'm always adjusting and tweaking and making it better. And then I will add camera angles for no reason. I'll start coming up with crazy ideas for I'm like, oh, I've got this, video. I'm going to make a House of Leaves video. I don't know if you saw that. And I'm going to have 3 different setups, and I'm going to bounce between the 3 different setups. I mean, I go all out. Now, granted, most of my videos, I set it up, I hit record, and I go, and I just kind of talk, and like a TBR video is
Sure.
pretty straightforward. But about at least every other month, I'm probably brewing something in the background of my brain, trying to be like, no, I'm going to do something really cool.
Yeah.
And it
To do the creative, because it is something that I actually talked about in my own video last week when I was talking about TBRs, that some videos you make just because it's almost like YouTube standard fare, right? I mean, you go to a restaurant, there's probably going to be a BLT or a club sandwich or a hamburger on the menu, but sometimes you want to create more than that. And I know in your case, it does require quite a bit of forethought, because you are, and we're going to get into this as we talk about your channel, but it requires a lot of pre-planning as well as post-production in terms of after you've hit the stop button on your camera, and then you actually really get to work, as far as I can tell, because it's quite a bit. Here's somebody that's saying, Rammel was one of my first booktube discoveries 3 months ago. Super talented, got me to reading. Amazing. He's on my top 3 booktubers.
Thank you so much. It means so much to me when I get comments like that.
That has to be. How do you now? You said, I think prior to us having an audience, when we were screaming into the void, we are talking about friends and family not really being the readers that we are. Do your friends, family watch what you post? Do any of them like read? Nothing.
Nothing. No, it's funny. Every once in a while, my family, I love my family to death. They're super supportive and everything like that. Every once in a while, my dad will like come to visit or something, and he'll be like, so, how many subscribers you got now?
Yeah.
Because he's so disconnected from what I do in this space. It's kind of hilarious. I'm like, oh, I'm about 24,000. He's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, absolutely.
People really like listening to you talk about books, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. It's just funny.
Totally. Well, my dad doesn't really get it either when it comes to that, because he'll ask me, how many subscribers do you have? And I would say, well, we're approaching 5,000 on the channel. Really? Well, how much does YouTube pay you for that then? For all those like as if I'm selling a subscription service and people are paying for, members to watch. I'm like, nah, Dad. But my mom was a huge fan. My sister does watch quite a bit. So that's kind of cool. Oh, that's very nice of you. Chapter Chasers had a nice compliment here. Thank you. Wanted to just highlight that. And I want to say hello to Derry all the way from New Zealand. I don't know what day it is there, but I'm guessing it's probably Wednesday. So you're on my normal day of For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Hey.
So one of the things that I've not been able to really talk to very many guests about, and this is something that you and I talked about a little bit prior to going live, is your editing and just the polish level that you have on your videos is outstanding. Whether it's just anything from zooms to what you're focused on, to black and white, back to color, multiple camera angles. Where did this editing skill come from? And is it self-taught, or did you just say, I want to learn how to do this, and figured it out?
100%. So I'll go back and watch my first video. It was terrible. It was, 100% self-taught. Once again, I used to, like I said, I was trying to be a musician and all that stuff. So I taught myself how to use audio software and audio editing and trying to mix multiple tracks, because I would try to record a bass line or something. And anyway, so I taught myself how to use all this computer software with editing music. So then, not that editing video and music is similar, but it's like I taught myself one, I could teach myself another.
Sure.
So I just kind of dove into it head first, and I hand do everything. And it's like, really, I do, I really just, I kind of got a base skill of kind of editing and how to get my flow down. And then once I did that, my real philosophy, the way I kind of work at it, the way I kind of approach it is I will learn one trick at a time. I've got my flow down. Well, now I'm going to add this one trick, and I will kind of use it a couple times and learn how to use it maybe over a period of a month or two. And then I'll be like, well, I got that pretty down pat. Let's see if I can add another trick to my toolbox of tricks, And after a couple of years, all of a sudden I'm just throwing shit in here left and right and doing this and that. And now all of a sudden it feels easier. When I was trying to do too much, trying to really overproduce a video in the beginning, I was like, this is too much and it's overwhelming. And that's when I said, if I do it one piece at a time, eventually I might look like I know what I'm doing.
Well, you've gone beyond that. I mean, the only other person I can think of really that you remind me of when it comes to video production is Moyd over at Media Death Cult. But Moyd's got a team of people.
He's got me beat.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
But he's got a team of people. You've got the John Rammel experience going on over there. So I mean, it's a little bit different when you're solo. And I think you're like me insofar as even if our channels were huge and they were just raking in the cash, and it would be just so affordable and within the budget to hire an editor, I don't know that either one of us would even do it because I think we enjoy that process.
I do. I wouldn't want to let it go. I wouldn't. Yeah, I enjoy the creation aspect of it too much.
Of that. And I think, I swear, I think if you hired an editor, you would basically be telling the editor exactly what to do at every shot. So at that point, why do you have an editor?
Yeah.
You would just be like, okay, we're going to go to this angle, at the 327 timestamp. And then when I bring up this title, I want it to go black and white for a second and flash. And they'd be just like, well, what have you hired us for? Yeah. But I really like that. Do you get comments? Is it just booktubers like me that notice this stuff? Or do you get comments of people noticing, hey, this guy is actually putting effort into it?
Yeah, I get several comments in my comment section. As soon as I introduce something crazy or new, I will at least get one, maybe two people that are like, oh, wow, I noticed that black and white shot you threw in there this week or something. Actually, that black and white shot made somebody mad. I got a hate comment because they were like something about how I used to feel like a guy talking to them in a room, and now they just can't connect with me anymore. And they're like, I'll probably just stop watching the channel. I'm like, wow, because I added a second camera angle. I was like, well, interesting. But no, more than that, more than anything, I get nothing but positive from BookTube. It's a wonderful, welcoming space, really.
Do you find when you're recording that you have a lot of edits in your own stuff, or are you more just like kind of a one take kind of a guy? Because you're so seamless in how you you really are. Normally when I can tell a lot of people are putting a lot of cuts in, it's very obvious. You don't let it get obvious, and it's an admirable trait for sure. So you do stumble and fumble from time to time with a word.
I am very, very bad at talking to the camera. That's one of those things that I realized way back in the day when I first started doing YouTube. I was like, I thought people make it look easy, like certain people, like Mike, for example, from Mike Brooks Reviews. He will just turn that camera on, start talking, and just go. And I'm like, how the hell? And I thought that's what I thought. Oh, this is easy. I'll do this like no problem.
One
I turn
take.
the camera on, and all of a sudden, I have this like performance anxiety, and I can't get anything out, and I'm stumbling, and it's a bunch of ums and ahs, and I watched, like I said, go back, watch those old videos. They're really, really bad. I can't get a thought out to save my life. So what I did is I started writing notes, and I would bullet point it out. So now I have a couple pages of bullet points that I have on the monitor that I'm actually looking at you on. So here's my monitor and here's my camera, and I'll just glance at my notes, and then I'll go back to talking. And I got to the point where I just pretty much have a couple pages of, this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is the order I'm going to say it in.
Yeah.
And, because otherwise I get off in la la land. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not making any sense. My videos become less coherent, and I just kind of go with it. And then I still, to this day, stumble and stammer and mess it up. And, it's a whole thing.
I'm a little cursed in that because I hats off to Mike because he's the OG with that, and it took me a little bit to do it, but I can do that now too, where I can do a 20-minute video in one take and just upload it.
Nope.
And it's a curse though because it enables my own laziness. Because Heidi was commenting earlier that she likes just the unedited stuff. It's like having a conversation. The artsy stuff is just icing on the cake, but it's not required. The problem that I've run into is that if I can, just wing it for 20 minutes without a cut, I don't want to bother with the editing anymore. I'm just like, let's just hit upload. But I prefer the way that you do it. And, similarly enough to you, I also use bullet points as well. Or look, I'm already off the rails as much as it can go as it is. So when you I guess my question still is about editing, and we will talk about some particular books, I promise, folks, but it's very rare that I get a guest on that's on BookTube that doesn't hire an editor and still has a professional looking channel the way that John does. So that's why I've kind of carved out some extra questions on the technical side. But when you approach editing the video, do you kind of script out more of what you're going to do eventually, as well as what you're going to say, prior to actually hitting the record button? Like, do you know kind of what you want to do in editing before you make the video? I guess is my question.
That depends on the video. Certain videos, yes, I 100% know what I'm going to do, and I'll go back to my House of Leaves video.
Yeah.
Which, have you seen that one?
Probably. I've seen most of them.
Well, it was, I did all of these different shots, and I would start a sentence talking to the camera at one angle, and I would finish the sentence from
Yes, I have seen
angle,
that.
and I would, all of a sudden, I would start saying this, and I would go to make a point, and I would switch to a different angle to finish the point because it felt like I was making it more impactful or something. So that is very heavily scripted, all the way down to the point where each individual bullet point was color-coded, so I knew which one I was going to be saying from which angle. So when I set up this camera angle, I was only reading the yellow bullet points. And then when I set up that camera angle, I was only reading the red bullet points. And, so that was very intentional. But for the most part, especially since lately I've, on some videos, I add the second camera angle. I don't even add it all the time.
Sure.
And that's because this year, I finally, after 4 years on YouTube, I had this little cheap camera. It had interchangeable lenses, but it was like a crop sensor, and it was just the small little one. And this year I finally I took some of my AdSense money and I bought like a proper full frame camera. And it's
awesome.
Like an actual legitimate, like, it feels professional to me.
Sure.
And it comes with the log profiles, and I can shoot in log, so I can properly color grade my footage now. But now I have two cameras, so I was like, what do I do? So I set up my old camera as just this weird extra shot. So I know going into the video whether or not I want a second angle or not. And then I just set it up and I let it record while I'm filming. And I figure out in the edit where I'm going to switch back and forth between the two. And normally, I'm going to let you in on a secret here.
Yes, I need to know.
Normally, a lot of times when I cut to that B angle, it's one of those hard cuts that I have no way of figuring out how to hide it. So I'm like, just throw it on the second angle,
Absolutely. I tell you, as long as we're doing true confessions, I was watching one of my videos back, I don't know when it was, and I realized I was drooling in part of it. I had taken a glass of water and whatever, and I was like, okay, I better put the Patreon card up in full frame for this part, because not the little corner thing, but the whole thing. So now you guys know, if you ever see the whole Patreon card at once, it's because like Brian spilled on himself, or I don't know. You actually kind of segued into my next question. So besides the camera, if somebody gave you $1,000 and said, spend it on anything fun for your channel, what would it be on?
$1,000.
$1,000. What are you going to do for your channel?
I don't know.
I know the camera is kind of the big one. I know
the camera is the big one. And I've got my lighting down. I've got proper key lighting now. Other than saying books, it's hard to say.
Books might work.
Although
I did see that
get a new lens.
New lens.
I might get a just so I have different lens options to do different things because lenses are insane. Do you have a an actual like interchangeable lens camera?
I do not.
Oh.
So when I started this journey, almost it'll be 2 years in November, my whole plan was this. I'm going to give this 30 days. And I bought a camera. I brought a Sony ZV-1 off of Amazon. And I said, if I hate this, I can send this back in 30 days. Same with the lights, same with everything. So I came at it with a nice 4K camera, but not what I would consider to be a Rammel Broadcasting level camera, where you've got interchangeable lenses, where you can really tell the difference between, a film grade type of a camera versus going in and editing and applying a film grade or doing something like that. So, so you would just get bugs. I like it. Maybe you get like a giant sculpture of one of your favorite characters or something. Although I did see in one of your most recent videos, you were having a conversation with yourself in the background, which I just thought was fantastic.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
By the way, because this video went live late, I haven't had a chance to go into the descriptions yet and do all that stuff. But after we get done filming tonight, within 5 minutes afterwards, John's channel will be linked. So, of course, if you've not seen what all these things that we're talking about, you owe it to yourself. Because if you love books, you're going to love his channel. If you like watching something that is very intentionally made and crafted and not just a dude like me on a microphone, Rammel Broadcasting is going to be for you. Let's talk about some books and some genres, because when I think of your channel, I think of fantasy and I think of horror, and sometimes I think of manga because I see on your shelves from time to time a lot of different manga. Let's talk about this, and maybe let's talk about horror to begin with, because you've recently put out a video talking about horror and what it does for you, and maybe if you could share with our viewers, did a book or a movie get you started with horror? And if so, which one?
I don't know. I started watching horror when I was a kid. Probably way too young to be watching horror movies back in the, early 90s, probably. I'm no spring chicken.
Me neither, my friend.
But yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I connected with it. That's just I don't know, something about it. I really, really liked horror. There was a time when I watched every single horror movie I could get my hands on. I'd go down to Blockbuster and grab a DVD, and then, I don't know. I just loved everything about it. And then the Japanese horror came out, and we started watching The Ring and Ju-on and all that stuff, and not the American versions. I was watching the old, the foreign films, reading the subtitles and everything. I just loved everything about it.
So what is it? Now, I've seen the video, so I know a little bit about the answers to these questions, but this is mostly for who's viewing tonight that haven't seen this yet. What about horror draws you to it? Because I am not a horror reader. In fact, if you tell me a book is horror going in, chances are I'm probably not going to read it. Yet some of my favorite books of all time are horror. Swan Song, Robert McCammon. It's basically, it's apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, but there's a ton of horror. The Dark Tower, the whole second half of that series is horror. So what about horror would you say to somebody who's maybe not into the genre or doesn't think they're into the genre, might get them to try something? And what kind of recommendations might you have for them to try?
I don't know. There's something simple about horror. There's something it really connects with people on a deep emotional level. I think in the video I called it primal, because it's so basic. It's so to the core. Sometimes, science fiction's out there trying to get you to think big and expand your horizons, and fantasy's out there trying to convey like complex ideas and maybe break into complex emotions. But there's something simple and basic and just primal about a really good horror story, and it plugs into something just ancient inside of us, and
it's that lizard brain kind of mentality.
It really just light you up. And in the older I get, And the more I consume, it's just really, really hard to scare me anymore in movies
Yeah.
and books and anything like that. But I still am drawn to a good, just creepy horror story, something that's going to just tell me something. I don't know. I really enjoy that kind of storytelling. And it just, I don't know. It really, and then something like, okay, give you an example.
Yeah.
People probably get tired of listening to me say it, but Pet
It's okay.
Cemetery is the crown jewel of all horror when it comes to just putting its finger on something inside of you. Like he goes after grief in that book in a way that I've never seen ever done. This father loses something and then he struggles and he wrestles with it for 100 pages, and it's just the turmoil inside of this man. And if you're going into Pet Cemetery looking for jump scares and zombie things coming out of the ground, that's maybe 20 pages of the book.
Sure.
It is like a blink and you'll miss it. So many people I know go into it and they come out disappointed, but it is doing something different. It's attacking your grief. If you've ever, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's the
Well,
most
Tharnall here seems to agree with me, saying Pet Cemetery is the most horror thing ever.
yeah.
So, do you consider Stephen King your favorite horror author?
Yeah, 100%. Stephen King took my #1 spot on my favorite authors list.
He did.
I did a top 10 favorite authors, period, and Stephen King took the #1 spot.
I have to go back and watch that. Normally, I watch almost everything, and somehow I must have missed that one because I don't know how I didn't see that one. But yeah, I mean, here Derry is saying The Shining remains the book that caused physical reaction. I was truly frightened reading Danny's POV as his violent alcoholic father. Freaked me out how well King unearthed my own horrors. I think Stephen King is really good at that. He gets into the human condition quite like nobody else.
Yes, and he can write emotions and yeah, he will tie the book to an emotion and he will make you feel it to your bones. It's amazing what he can do telling a story.
So would you say that Pet Cemetery, for somebody who's not read any Stephen King horror, would be the ideal starting place, or do you have a couple other suggestions as well?
I mean, if we're talking Stephen King, I would say that would be a good starting point. I always
Okay.
think The Shining's always a good starting point
Okay.
as well. Those are probably my two favorites.
Cool.
That's not probably. They are my two favorites.
They are.
But I did a top 10 horror list and they're the only two Stephen King books that made it on.
That's funny.
I love Stephen King, but yeah, no, those are my two favorites.
You know, the one answer I get mostly to that is It. Becomes an answer quite a bit. Salem's Lot, Josh seems to be a favorite of his as well. And Josh, of course, from Red Fury Books, is extraordinarily well read with Stephen King. I think he's probably read everything kind of like you on that one. But it's very cool. So I guess note to self, I should ask you next time I'm contemplating picking up a horror book, because you know the right questions to ask, because it's not just, oh, I want to read horror. It's what kind of horror do you want? Do you want psychological thriller? Do you want cosmic horror? Do you want monsters? Do you want to be jump scared? Do you want to have, like you said, that lizard brain fight or flight reaction to something so visceral happening that it's just hitting you weird on the inside?
Yeah, and how messed up do you want to be when you're done reading it? Because I recently read, what was it called? The Girl Next Door. Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
You messed up.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. It's hard to recommend. I will, if I ever do a redo a top 10 horror, that will be on it. But damn if it doesn't. It's very hard to read. Isn't
it interesting though, as booktubers, that sometimes our favorite books we have a hard time recommending to people, because we know that it takes a very certain type of mentality to get it, and it's just there's hard books like that to recommend. And when you walk away from a book, like you said, upset and just shook from the book itself, how do you tell somebody, hey, you're having a good day, go read this, because when you're done, you won't be. So that's interesting. Let's talk about some fantasy for a second. Do you have a favorite series of fantasy or favorite fantasy author?
I'm so new to fantasy.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say I have a favorite. It's hard to say because I did. Ken Liu would have to be up there because
Yep.
him in that Dandelion Dynasty, I loved every second of that. I know it's been kind of like who Philip Chase recently read it and was not thrilled. I was shocked. I thought he would for sure would love that. And
I'm not shocked. And here's where I'm going to interrupt you and say why I think you like it and where he didn't.
Okay.
Because it digs into some of the technical aspects of things. John Rammel's a technical guy. Okay. Philip Chase is not. I love Philip. He's my brother, but he is not a technical guy.
Yeah.
So I can see where aspects of, particularly in that second book that he was talking about, were becoming almost like engineering it at some level. I could see how you would love that. Just watching your channel and the kinds of production you do. But you're new to fantasy, so but that's okay. But I will say, one of the books that you've got coming up on your TBR, we actually have the expert in the chat because you are reading the Farseer trilogy right now. And Derry is absolutely the resident Robin Hobb expert. Derry, maybe you want to say in chat how many times you've read Realm of the Elderlings. I don't know, but it's more than a dozen times, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, no.
And John is just about to start book 3 of Farseer. Is that right?
Yep. That'll be the very next book I read, actually, once I'm done with The Crippled God.
Yeah, so you're like me. You're on Malazan as well.
Yeah, which, if I'm talking about some of my favorite fantasy, I'm going to have to bring up Malazan as well. Because,
Yeah, me
oh,
too.
wow. It's amazing what he does with that series. The amount of stories that he's telling and in the way that he's telling them and his prose. He goes so hard on the writing. It's kind of, I don't even know what to say sometimes.
I'm with you. So in 2021, I was looking at The Wheel of Time and I was looking at Malazan, and I didn't know which one I was going to read. And I flipped a coin. Heads, it's Wheel of Time. Tails, it's Malazan. It ended up heads. I read all 14 books back to back of The Wheel of Time. Absolutely loved it. And I remember saying at the end of this, it's going to be at least 2 or 3 years before I tackle anything this size again because my brain was just fried. And then about, I don't know, maybe a little over a year or so ago, a patron vote or a community poll voted in Gardens of the Moon for me.
Yeah.
And I just kind of read it thinking, well, I'm not probably going to read all of Malazan, but I'll read Gardens of the Moon because it won the poll. And sure enough, wow, was I just enthralled from day one. So because of the fact that you've been able to read almost like a book a month, right?
Yes.
You've cruised past me for sure. I think I started before you, but you are at the kind of rounding third base on the way to home at this point. So to be just finishing Malazan and just kind of starting Realm of the Elderlings for the most part, that's a great place to be for somebody who's relatively new to fantasy because you've picked up really 2 of the all-timers. Realm of the Elderlings for me has been number 1 forever.
Yeah.
But it might get unseated this year.
Oh, yeah? With the Malazan?
Maybe. Here's Derry.
Yeah.
She's read 24 times.
Good.
The first 3 trilogies she's read 24 times.
That's insane.
So, Derry, you need to subscribe to John's channel because when he's got the inevitable questions coming from Realm of the Elderlings, you will have.
Oh no!
She does not like me talking about maybe Malazan taking over the top spot of Realm of the Elderlings. Absolutely. And I am reading Wars of Light and Shadow basically every other month. That's why I haven't finished Malazan yet, is because every other month I'm reading Wars of Light and Shadow and a Malazan book. But I think, John, you've absolutely hit a home run with those 2 series, kind of being big forays into it.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised with how much I liked. Not that I had any reason not to like the Farseer trilogy. I didn't know what to expect. I went into it pretty blind.
Sure.
And
what got you to read that? How did you decide to read Farseer?
Patreon pick.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It was nominated and it was picked, and I went into it and I said, I guess this is what I'm reading this month. And it won, and I read it, and it was great. I loved every second of it, and I went straight into it's the one. Let's put it this way: I got several different Patreon picks for that have been book one in a series, like the Winter King was, the Warlord Chronicles was
Sure.
a book that won the Patreon pick, and I read it, and I said that was really good. I'll read the rest eventually, And I read these book ones, and I'm like, oh, that was good. I'll read the rest eventually. I read Assassin's Apprentice, and I went straight into the second one.
Right in a Royal Assassin.
There was no waiting to, it messed up my TBR. That's it and Piranesi, because I was going to try and get all these different female authors in for the summer, and I read Assassin's Apprentice and
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
no, I read Piranesi and Assassin's Apprentice.
Okay.
And the very next month, I was reading, the next book in the Farseer trilogy and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Right.
I was locked in. I was like, damn.
Yeah, you and I have very, very similar tastes when it comes to fantasy stuff. So this is what is kind of telling me, John's probably got some good recs for horror for me, because there is no doubt Piranesi is one of my all-time favorite books. I don't talk about it on the channel other than that it's one of my favorite books, because I think the less you know about Piranesi going in, the better of an experience that it will be. But the fact that you can get such a door-stopping chonker like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell and still get that kind of atmospheric vibe from that author
Yep.
in a book that's literally like 12 times or 10 times the size of Piranesi, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, I'm loving the journey that you're on right now. Wait a minute. Brian didn't say hi to my dad for me. I don't even know what this is, but hi,
He said
Wavius.
hi in the chat a little while ago.
Oh, well, hello, Wavius Sphere's dad. I apologize.
That's my son.
Oh,
He's been on the channel a few times. He helped me out. He blindfolded me and tried to describe book covers to me and stuff like that.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yana says, Robin Hobb is such a gift to everyone, readers and up-and-coming writers. She is truly lovely. Makes you wonder how she finds the heart to do all the things she does to Fitz. Yeah, if you like to see a character get punished, you've got lots of that ahead of you in Realm of the Elderlings.
That's what I hear.
No doubt. But it's, and as we're talking about Stephen King and your experience so far with the first two Farseer books, do you think that maybe a coming of age story like we get in Farseer is appealing to you because of the coming of age stuff that you may have read in Stephen King books? Do you find any similarities there?
I don't know. I'm not, I like a good coming of age story, but those are probably not the biggest draw to King for me.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I don't know if I feel a lot of parallels to King in the Farseer, at least not yet.
Not yet.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think we'll say that you probably need to read more Hobb to make to make a fair assessment, because
Yeah.
you've read so much King, and really, and honestly, the first couple of books of Farseer, this series really only takes off from there. So I think you're in a great spot. I will say I did notice on your upcoming TBR that your Patreon pick is the 5th season coming up by N.K. Jemisin, and I had a DNF challenge
You didn't like that, correct?
about a year and a half ago. And the winner of that DNF challenge happens to be in the chat, Josh from Red Fury Books. I'd asked 7 booktubers to give me a book that they could not finish for the life of them. And Josh submitted the 5th season. And I read all these 7 books, and then I had to come and award a winner and say, this was the winner of the least of my favorites, and it happened to be the 5th season. So I am saying Godspeed to you, John Rammel, on the 5th season. I hope you like it better than I did. I suspect you might. You know nothing about it, though, right? Other than
No,
what
nothing.
you'd mentioned in the TBR.
Yeah. I literally had to Google a synopsis of it so I could at least say something, sound like I was trying to recommend a book. I won the DNF challenge.
Yeah, but I like that about you though, because you're just willing to take risks. I mean, if you've got patrons that are out there that are willing to support your creative endeavors, you're willing to give back by reading something that is, obviously they like it. They're not throwing that in there because they think that you won't like it. So everybody's tastes are a little bit different. Apologies if you love N.K. Jemisin's work. I'm sure they're lovely for lots of people. I have some hot takes on some very popular books, so don't listen to me on that. Too. But I think that
let's not talk about Empire of the Vampire in this stream.
Yeah, we won't. I haven't read it yet, so I haven't read it yet. And Heidi says she thinks you're going to love the 5th season. It is weird. It's up his alley.
Yeah, I do like anything strange. I am a very weird fiction kind of guy.
I think there's a book that you ought to read because it's horror and fantasy and strange as hell. It's called The Library at Mount Char. I'll send you a link to it sometime on Discord. It's one of the strangest books I've ever read. Absolutely horror element, absolutely fantasy. And no, we will not talk about Empire of the Vampire because I haven't even read it yet. So
all you need to know is it's really bad.
It's really bad.
Nothing good about it. There's no saving grace to it. Talk about DNFing books.
Yeah, somewhere out there, Mike from Mike's Book Review is flipping a table.
Yeah, he sure is.
right now. And Marianne loves the weird as well. Definitely have that in common. Tharnall knows my least favorite book in the world happens to be The Magicians.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's talk about some manga for a minute too, because I am really inexperienced when it comes to manga. I happen to own 2 of them, One Piece and Berserk. I haven't read either of them yet, but you've got considerable amounts on your shelf. What got you into that? Were you watching anime as a kid? How did that kind of happen?
Okay, so I grew up watching anime, like back when it was on late night TV and it was like Cowboy Bebop and Dragon Ball Z.
Sure.
And I'd watch Dragon Ball Z in the afternoon, and then late at night I'd watch Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, and I loved it. And then I moved on to when Netflix came out. They started whatever was on I've never been like a hardcore anime watcher. I was just like the casual guy. If it was on, I wasn't scouring the internet finding these obscure things. But if it was on Netflix, I probably watched it, Yeah. And I just really enjoyed it, but I never read it, ever. And I never read comic books of any kind. And it wasn't until after I started the channel. And I was doing all different kinds of things, and I had settled into pretty much talking about books. Kind of everything else was kind of slowly fading away, and I was pretty much talking about books. And I noticed Murphy Napier was doing this read-through of One Piece. It was like kind of new on her channel before it took over her channel.
Sure.
And she was doing this like read-through walkthrough of One Piece, and I thought, that's really cool. I want to do something like that, but I don't want it to be One Piece because that doesn't look like my speed. That doesn't look like my kind of story. So I went around and I just kind of looked into some options that I had, and then I saw Berserk, and that's another one. I watched that. Actually, I watched that anime back before you could stream it. I had to rent the DVDs from Blockbuster because my friends because my friends wouldn't shut up about it. And this is the old 97 version of the anime. So I rented the DVDs from Blockbuster, and it was great. But then they stopped it after 1 season and never renewed it for a second season. So I was like, well, I know I liked that anime a lot, so I'm going to Berserk. And Berserk kind of is where my channel went from. I went from 200 subscribers to over 1,000 just by talking about Berserk. It got my whole channel monetized. I was like, I didn't know what was happening when Berserk. I went from 50 views a video to about 1,000. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, where did this come from? So
it's amazing how the manga fans are just rabid. They will, if they see somebody who generally doesn't do manga on their channel, it doesn't like get 3 or 4 views. All of a sudden, like they come in droves to the channel. The same thing happened with Philip when he started doing English Professor, thoughts on One Piece. Boom, his channel exploded. Obviously that must have happened with you as well, that you got a big boost from some of the manga fans that are out there.
When I finished Berserk, they kind of all went away. Not all of them. I don't want to say that, but like that big surge that I got kind of ebbed back down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it took me to a different level, and then
Yeah.
I didn't catch another wave until last year. Somehow, I don't know where that came from. That was insane. That was even bigger. And now all of a sudden, books is what people come to me for. I'm like, make up your mind, people.
Yeah, what do you guys want me to do?
Well,
Mariana, question for me. Did I ever get that anime that recommended Death Parade? I looked for it, Mariana, but it's not on any streaming services. So you got to tell me where to go buy it, because I think I would probably have to go buy it. But I think that's pretty a common experience with a lot of book channels when they start discussing manga, is that the manga viewers will only really kind of be there for the manga content. And when you start doing
Yeah.
a TBR of sci-fi or horror, fantasy, historical fiction, Warlord Chronicles, whatever, it's almost like talking in a different language. And now you're a music channel instead of
Yeah, the casual. I will say the casual manga fan. Now I've got a few diehards that are just there for anything and everything, and they've been there since like the beginning.
That's awesome.
I have a patron who has been with me since I want to say I had maybe 200. Well, maybe not more than that, or less than, yeah. But anyway, he's been with me since the very beginning. The second I opened the Patreon, he was like the second one there. He's still there to this day. He's just, he won't go away. He's awesome.
Well,
That would be Grey Mulk, just by the way, in case he's here.
or if he's on Team Replay, you just
Yep.
got shout out, my man. So you are a true blue supporter of Rammel Broadcasting. Do you have a favorite manga right now that you're reading, or about to read, or have recently read?
That I'm currently reading?
Currently reading, or sometime relatively recently, the last few months.
I would say Freerin.
And
I read
what is that one
Freerin.
called?
Freerin?
Freerin. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Have you ever heard of Freerin?
I have not. This is the first time I've ever even heard of it.
It is a fantasy story called Freerin Beyond Journey's End, and it is about this elf mage, and she is like 1,000 years old or something like that. Her and her party, it's like this classic party. There's a fighter, there's a cleric, there's a mage. She's the elven mage, and they have just completed their mission. They just killed the demon king. So that's why it's Beyond the Journey's End. And now everybody else goes off to live their lives, but she is like kind of undying. She's immortal. So
Okay.
they're all like going to live with their loved ones, and she just doesn't quite understand. She doesn't grasp humanity. She doesn't grasp emotions like they do. And within like the first couple of chapters, they all make a promise to meet up in 50 years to watch like this thing happen in the night sky. And they all show up, and they're all basically on their deathbed, and she looks the same. And so now she loses all of her party because it's over. And basically the news story is she's going to go and she's going to try to recreate the journey that they went on so that she can kind of recapture some of the emotions that she felt while they were on the journey in the first place. And it is some of the most heartwarming, just some of the most touching stuff you'll ever read. And it's a whole new perspective to storytelling that you've never seen, because you're normally off on the mission to fight the Demon King, not on this weird, sappy, sentimental mission to try and reconnect with parts of yourself that you didn't realize you were developing. Because she's like developing these connections and these emotions, but she wasn't paying attention because she's immortal. Like
Right.
she doesn't connect with people on a moment-to-moment basis like everybody else does. So now that it's gone, she's realized,
noticing it. Yeah.
yeah, she realizes she should have been in the moment, but she wasn't. So she's going to go try and do this again. It's just, I don't know. It's so good. And she's going to put together a new team, and now she's in the moment with this team. She's
Right.
paying attention this time. It's just, I loved it.
It's it's interesting. There's people in the chat that just are gushing about it as well. How did you hear about this series?
Through my Discord, through the Discord, people just kind of come up to you and you need to do this and you need to do that. Actually, that was another Patreon pick. Now that I'm saying this out loud, that was another
You've got
one.
some amazing patrons
Oh, wait.
that are.
I can't remember if that was a Patreon pick or because there's sometimes they get nominated a couple times and I just give up and I'm like, I'm going to read it anyway because you've got me excited about it.
Well, you got me excited about it. I
Yeah,
mean, to
it's
me,
really
that
cool.
sounds really cool, because I
Yeah.
like the storytelling angle of, okay, the big event happened. Now what?
Yes.
I like when
Yeah.
we start kind of after the fact.
Right.
And everybody's gone home.
And with her being this immortal elf that she doesn't think the way we do. So it's like a whole nother, not only is it a different angle on the story, it's a different angle on how she perceives what's even happening around her. It's really good.
Well, I'm adding it to the TBR, folks. You heard it here first. If I ever make another TBR video, Freya's going to be on it.
There's always the anime. It's really good too.
You know, I don't know why I never got into anime, because I loved comic books. I read comic books my whole life growing up. I probably stopped when I was around 30. Yeah. And I loved animated cartoons and all of that. But for whatever reason, the Japanese sensibility of the anime never spoke to me. Mm-hmm. Yet today, I think I'm on day 1152 of consecutive Duolingo Japanese. So it doesn't make any sense to me why that, and one of my all-time favorite books is Shogun. So have you read Shogun before?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Have you read Musashi?
I have not.
That is, do you know who Musashi is?
I do not.
He is a real life figure. He was a swordsman back in the year 1600-ish.
Okay, so he's samurai from that era.
Yes, and he wanted to be the greatest swordsman. He dueled, I want to say 60-something people, one-on-one duels, won every duel he was ever in. And then when he retired and he tried to be a painter and a philosopher. And he wrote an actual book on his philosophy on swordsmanship, which is the Book of Five Rings, which I have back here.
Okay.
And then in the year like 1905, something like that, there was a Japanese man wrote a story about Musashi, and it's like this epic 1,000-page book about his life and his journey of becoming the greatest swordsman from a boy all the way up until like the last duel that he had is pretty much where the book ends. And it is just this epic, like I said, 1,000-page kind of historical book about a real life man, although what we know about Musashi's life is not very much. We know kind of the beats, like where he started, where he ended up, and we have his book that he wrote, the philosophy. But everything else in between there is a little muddy. We don't really know. So this guy in 1900 said, you know what? Let's make this fun, and turned it into this epic story, and it's so good. If you've ever heard of the manga Vagabond, it's actually based off of that book.
Very cool. Well, that is also on my manga TBR list. Tharnall says, Mr. Rammel, have you also read Taiko?
I have not. Is that, I think that's another one by Eiji Yoshikawa? I think, if I'm saying that correct?
I don't know. Tharnall might.
That's what it looks like from here. I'm reading the cover.
Excellent. That's very cool. Well, you've already added to my TBR, so that's So here we go. Yeah, Heidi says Musashi is so fantastic, perfect epic tale with humor and heart. Everyone should be reading it. I picked it up because John gave it a 10.
I did.
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but Heidi's pretty vocal when she likes stuff and when she doesn't like stuff. Yes. Let's be honest there. But I tell you what, I like Heidi's recommendation. She got me to read a book she sent me called The Outlaw, or just Outlaw, which is basically historical fiction on the Robin Hood story, kind of a retelling of Robin Hood. And it was exactly what I needed at the time. And Tharnall says, yes, same author as Musashi.
Yep.
When you asked about that. I have a wild card question for you. This is, every now and then I ask questions that just don't make any sense, and you'll never be asked this anywhere else. But if you could merge one horror novel and one fantasy novel into a single story, which two would you pick?
Fantasy
and a horror.
And horror.
All into one. So it could be the magic system from a fantasy book. I just like these kind of weird wild card questions every now and then.
What would be a real easy pick?
Yes, give me an easy one.
House of Leaves and Piranesi.
Okay.
Make the house in House of Leaves the house from Piranesi.
That sounds very cool.
Have you read House of Leaves?
I have not, but
No.
I don't want to get into it because I
Yeah.
don't want the
Yeah.
comparisons to spoil
Yep.
Piranesi. But
Okay.
once
That would be that's a real easy one. We'll do that.
let's just take that as an answer. Like I say, I like to throw about 5 or 6 wildcard questions into all these that have nothing to do with anything. But yeah, have you thought about? And maybe you did this with the book that you just mentioned. But when you make your videos, to theme them in a certain way after the certain stories, and maybe for some people who are unfamiliar with some of the content that you've made, where would you point them to on your channel for some kind of thematic content that you've made, maybe about a story or a particular book or theme?
Like, what do you mean?
Weird question. Okay. Let's try. It's a weird way of asking that question. So, have you thought about doing like something themed after your favorite story as you build the video itself, editing wise, graphical wise, to try to give the vibe of the video similar to the vibe of the book?
That would probably, I'm going to have to bring up House of Leaves again. That would
Yeah.
probably be the most theme heavy video that I've done, at least as far as trying to match book 2 video.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's just going to have to be House of Leaves.
House of Leaves. Cool.
Yep.
Well, now I'm gonna have to watch that video and read the book because if you how long is that book?
500 pages?
Oh, you're killing me. I was just like, please let it be 320 pages. Please let it be 380 pages.
But it reads so fast.
Does it read quick? Okay.
Yeah. Because there's like a lot of pages. It's so hard to recommend. People hate that book so vehemently if they hate it, but then they love it so much if they love it. It's really polarizing because there's pages with like literally like 2 words on it. It's kind of crazy. It's like a puzzle. Have you seen anything about House of Leaves?
I have not.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have not, but I will mostly check it out. But it seems like, again, you get such great input from your Patreon and from Discord and from your commenters. What kind of feedback, or I should say, first of all, do you check your comments often? Because some creators do and some creators don't.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah.
I'm like that too. Do you do it because, so I'm of 2 minds on this. One is because I really love building the community and I love people to feel like that they have a voice in what I'm doing on the channel. And I get the sense that you're similar. I'm also just sort of selfishly a little OCD when I hate having all these unanswered comments on the back end of YouTube. And I want to clear them out. So it's kind of a double reason for me on that one. But tell me about that. You check all the comments on all your videos. Do you reply to all of them as best as you can?
I don't.
Okay.
I try to be extremely plugged in when the video goes live. So when I have it scheduled to go live, I try to be extremely plugged in for that first day and try to really either reply or at the very least, respond in some way to most everything that's coming in. But sometimes it's just, I work full time. I have kids, I have a family, I've got a lot going on. So I can't reply to everything, but I try really hard to be plugged in at least when it goes live for that first day.
That's very cool. Well, it also is, it feels like it in some regard, you're paying attention to the people who are paying attention to you, right? Yeah. If they're watching your day one upload, they're fans. Yeah. And I think, there's something to be said for supporting the people who support you. And that's a great way because, I mean, you and I we weren't born YouTubers. We saw a YouTube video before we created one. And I remember the first time I made a comment on, it was either Mike's channel or on Philip's channel. And he wrote, he responded to it. And I was like, oh my God, this person actually read my comment and responded to it. I feel seen. Yeah. And I just love being able to give that feeling back to those people that, like you said, those day one viewers that are there for you. Because when you hit that upload button, you don't always know. Yeah. I mean, the algorithm can be really weird. Yeah. But generally, your true blue fans are right there. So I love how you've engaged that community. And it was interesting because even like I would get a bunch of DMs over the last probably week or two since we announced we were doing this show, because nobody has seen the two of us on camera before, because we've never been on camera together.
Yeah.
And the messages that I got were, you guys are two of my favorite creators because you take what you're doing seriously. You want it to look good. You've got something to say, and I never miss a video of either of yours. And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
this is really, really, it's a good thing to say. So Derry says, Brian, if this wasn't a community, we wouldn't be so happy hanging out with each other in the chat. It's like bumping into Friends of Cafe. Yeah. I mean, even on these shows, it's funny because I'll be talking with our guests and the chat's off having their own conversations. They're just, that happens all the time on Jimmy's show, on Chatting with Nuts.
I've jumped into my own Discord before, and they're having this nice conversation, and I'll throw something in there, and they just keep talking like I'm not even there.
Isn't that funny? So
They're so already invested in what they were saying to each other.
let me ask you about that. So when did you start a Discord?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Probably right around the time that I got monetized. I did it all. I got monetized I got the 1,000 subscribers, and I did all the things, and I got the channel monetized, and I went ahead and I just started. I was like, well, I guess I should do all the things. I opened a Discord, and I started the Patreon, and I had like like 3-4 patrons, and I had about 10 people in the Discord, and the Discord was dead. Nobody spoke to, and like every once in a while somebody would pop in and be like, wow, this Discord isn't happening. And I it was dead up until this year. I don't push it. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in there to make it popular, but it just kind of started to grow a life of its own slowly this past year.
And you're enjoying it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I do not have a Discord, and I've even asked some of my channel viewers, you guys want me to do Discord, or are there too many Discords already? And the answer that I generally get back is, we're on so many Discords as it is, Brian. It's fine without it. And I think to some degree, I like how you've done it, where you're doing all the things. You've got the Patreon, you've got the Discord, you're doing all the quote unquote real booktuber things, but you're still juggling full-time job, full-time family. The editing that you do into these videos is not one and done. It's a whole thing. So I just love this. See, here we go. Sarah Beth saying, adding Musashi to the list after Titus Grown.
Oh, hold on. We're going to pause right here.
Okay.
And I'm going to finish that promise that I made to Heidi, that I was going to force you to read Gormenghast.
To me,
the first book in the trilogy being Titus Grown.
Okay.
Have you heard of it? Because I know you have, because Heidi told me she told you.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. I did a video, I don't know, it's about a year or so ago. And it was something along the thematic lines of, which of these series have I stowed away at the bottom of a mountain because I know I have to read them, but I don't really want to have to get to them yet. Malazan was in that, that bundle of books that is buried under the mountain, as well as Gormenghast. And so, yes, I have heard of it. I will read Titus Grown. God, I don't know when. I mean, maybe by the end of this year. Maybe. My challenge is that I feel like doing Malazan every other month with Wars of Light and Shadow every other month, that kind of takes up my brain space for the most part. And it doesn't seem like a novice level story, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know.
It's not.
It's not. It requires focus, probably.
It requires focus, and the language that he uses, Mervyn Peake, is just phenomenal. It's like I try to describe it as he's painting pictures in your mind, but he's using words to do it. And he will have characters burst out into just like random spurts of poetry in the seemingly out of nowhere. It's so, but the language and just the prose, it's so amazing. If you just read the first page, do nothing else. Just read that first page just to get an idea of how he describes things and the language that he's going to use.
Sure.
And you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're in for the next, I don't know, 500 pages or so. I don't know how many pages are in that book.
Well, folks, you've heard it here first. If my brain explodes because I decided to read Titus Grown while reading Malazan and Wars of Light and Shadow,
That's not my fault.
We know who put this book on. He's going to blame Heidi. He's
Yeah. Yeah.
Although Marianne agrees with you, Peak's prose is peak. That's
Yep.
clever.
Yeah, she but Heidi just made a comment to me. I think it might have been in the Discord or I can't remember where it was, but she said something about when I announced that I was coming on your channel. She's like, "Oh, I've been trying to get him to read Gormenghast." I was like, "Don't worry, I got you."
You will. You know what? And I'll tell you what, you might be, there's you and Evie from, I don't remember what Evie's channel's name. Somebody put it in the Discord. She's only Evie, duh. The two of them have both been on me about reading Titus Grown.
Yeah.
So I need to do it. It's only 500 pages. I'll get it done. Maybe what I'll do is put a Malazan month on the back burner for a month. And I mean, that's my option. I mean, I can't put Wars of Light and Shadow on the back burner because I got a 8-person read along I'm doing, which, by the way, really hard to do, folks. When you decide to sign up for an 11-book read along with your BFF, John, you are making a commitment because this is like a 2-year deal we're doing because we're doing every other month and it's 11 books. So
Yeah, that's a lot.
and I'm like you, where if I start something, I just want to keep going with it. But maybe what I'll do is I'll try to figure out how to maybe sneak Titus Grown in to a Malazan month. So, okay, you are further along in me than Malazan. So let's try to sort this out here right now, so you can feel like mission accomplished on your Heidi mission.
Yeah.
Which book? I'm gonna start Reaper's Gale next month. Where should I take the break after that to read Titus Grown?
Reaper's Gale.
So Reaper's Gale's after Bone Hunters.
So maybe
After Reaper's Gale?
oh man, that's hard to say because Reaper's Gale is what I consider to be the slog. It's
Okay.
it was my least favorite of all the books. So either take it after Reaper's Gale if you want to break because it was just a little bit slow and you're worn out, or if you want to end on a high note, do it after Toll of the Hounds.
So I have people that have told me Malazan's great. I have people that told me the exact opposite. That they absolutely can't. I mean, Mike has been stuck on Toll of the Hounds for 4 years. Mike, if you're watching this later, I'm gonna lap you. I'll be rereading Malazan before you finish Toll of the Hounds.
He keeps saying he's got a big announcement from Malazan in the past couple weeks. He told me that.
NFL season's about to start. The chances of Mike reading Malazan during the NFL, well, we'll see how Houston. We'll see how Houston
He
does.
randomly put it in one of the comments of one of my. I put up a video last week or the week before.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I think I've got some Malazan news coming." I'm thinking, I doubt it. Anyway,
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Mike, I love you. You know that. You're my brother. All right. Rammel has this new reader working hard to eventually tackle Malazan, Book in the New Sun, and Titus Grown. So let's talk about Book in the New Sun. That's another atmospheric book of all atmospheric books.
Yes.
I love it. Now, I know people that I generally align with very well don't love it at all. When someone asks you about Book of the New Sun, what do you say?
Man, I don't even know. It's I try to. It's I forget. I've sold it a couple times. It's like this post-apocalyptic future in a sci-fi land that's broken down, but it's so far gone, and people are so far removed from the science fiction world that they lived in that it is then obscured, and it's told through the lens of like a fantasy novel because it's told in the style of a sword and sorcery, because people don't realize that the spaceship that they're traveling up and down in is even a spaceship. So they just call it the Tower.
The Tower.
And then the Tower is inside of the Citadel, and the Citadel exists, and everything is this weird, obscure sci-fi world, but they're describing it as if it were a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Then it's obscured again because it is this guy who's at the end of his life and he's recalling his life, and he will tell you that he has perfect memory, but then he forgets things in the story as he's telling it, and you don't realize it. He'll say something in book 2, or somebody will tell him something in book 2, and then it comes back in book 4, and he's forgotten about it.
Oh, yeah.
So he clearly doesn't have perfect memory. He's
Yeah.
also clearly a narcissist, and he's making himself look better than he really is in this hindsight story. It's wild. There are so many layers of obscurity to it.
Yeah.
And then the author intentionally uses like these archaic words that nobody's ever going to know the definition
right.
to.
So-
and he intentionally is fucking with you on purpose.
There's no doubt. So I have to ask you, in what format did you read Book of the New Sun? Physical, ebook, audio? What did you do?
I 100% physical on that one. Now, I am famous. I don't know if I'm famous. I grab a book and I download the audiobook, and I normally leapfrog because
Sure.
I'm busy and I have a family. I will
Sure.
read. I'll sit down at night and I'll read an hour or two, and then while I'm doing chores and driving, if I got to run to the store, drive down to the shopping center where my bookstore is, that's like a half-hour drive. That's an hour in the car. I'll listen to my book for an hour. So I do both. But for some reason, Book of the New Sun, I opened it and I read it. 100% in folio.
Oh my gosh, you got the good ones.
100% in folio. And I sat there and I just ate every page of it up, every
Same
word
here.
of it up. And that is one book that I didn't download the audiobook for. And
You
I
just wanted the physical.
once I got into it, and I was like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. And I didn't want to miss a word.
There's no doubt. And so I did it a little bit differently. I did it almost like normally, so for one, I don't have the folio editions, or that's what I would have done. But because I don't have the folio editions, I went ebook on this one.
Okay.
And I generally don't ebook anything unless I have to.
Yeah.
But I was so glad that I did. And I actually recommend Book of the New Sun on ebook to anybody who doesn't have a special edition, purely for what you had just talked about with Gene Wolfe using archaic language, because you can push the button on the word you don't know and the dictionary pops up, and then you can understand it. Because in most books, like I'm reading, like I said, Wars of Light and Shadow, Jenny Wirtz does this a lot, where she'll use words that are not commonly used, but you can gather what they mean by the context around it. Gene Wolfe, not so much. I mean, there's words that are strung together that you don't even know what any of them are, so you can't build context to that. But I love how you described it. And somebody in the comments, I think back up here, yeah, Dennis Meyer says, now I know why Rockio was so inspired by it. Absolutely. Darius says, oh my God, you're going to love the progression of Realm of the Elderlings as perspective changes truth of earlier books. Yeah, so much similar, not quite as obscure as Gene Wolfe, because let's be honest, nobody's really as obscure that I've read, and I've read a lot. So have you. He's at the top of the list when it comes to obscurity. Somebody had asked also in the comments about Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's been so long since I read that book. I read it when it came out. So I remember bits and pieces of it. But I remember at the time, clearly the largest hardback that I'd ever purchased in my life, because this thing was a phone book. What was your experience, with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell? We talked about, Susanna Clarke being just this master of atmosphere. Was that a big thing with you? Because it seems like when we're talking about Book of the New Sun and Piranesi and Gormenghast, that atmosphere is something that's a big thing for John Rammel.
I sentence to sentence enjoyment of reading is big for me. I want an author with a voice, and I want to, and I need to enjoy that voice. You can have a book that's nothing's happening, nothing, and I will, if I can enjoy it on a sentence to sentence basis, like something like a Haruki Murakami, I am just all in. And it was so charming and wonderful, and I loved the world, and I loved the characters, and it was fun, and it was funny, and it was engaging, and it was entertaining. I did feel a little bit from like the end of book 1 and through book 2, I felt a lull, and it slowed down, and I started to worry that it was going to be too long. Like
Sure.
there was a chunk in the middle where I thought, oh, I got scared. I thought, oh no, I feel like this book's dragging in the middle, and I feel like I'm going to get to my review, and I'm going to say it was too long. It should have been trimmed down 200 pages. And then I got to the end, and everything just starts to come back, and all of the emotional beats pay off so well, all the way down to the final scene. I won't spoil the book, but if
Yes.
with him, one of them, Jonathan
Yep.
or Mr. Norrell, one of the
Won't
guys.
say which one. Yep.
Yeah, but you get down to that final scene, and it just hits so hard, and all the emotions, and it was so impactful. And then when I got to the end of it, I thought, man, there was a lull in the middle, but the ending was so impactful. Then I had to wonder, would it have still been as impactful if I hadn't just lived with all of these people for the 900 pages that I lived with them?
Right.
If I cut 200 pages out, would that ending have been as fulfilling and as satisfying as it was? And I had to just kind of land on the side of, I think it earned its length. It
Sure.
justified its length in my mind.
It's hard when you're kind of in the lull of the story, though.
Yeah,
I mean, but they matter, and I say the same thing for people who read The Wheel of Time. Is that they dread the slog, books 8 through whatever, and I'm like, on a meta level, every story has a lull. It's not always go go go, and some parts are going to be more interesting than others. And I think the appreciation that you get from going through a 200-page lull is pretty incredible. Like you said, greetings from Orc City, Mr. John A. Douglas. He's got a fantastic book, The Black Crown. See, John, I pumped your book up even though YouTube is not being your friend. Let me ask you a question about creating videos. What's the weirdest thing you've ever had to Google while making a video?
I have no idea. I really don't know. Weirdest
Sometime-
thing I've ever had to Google.
I love asking questions that no one thinks are coming.
I don't know.
I don't-
I've had to Google some weird artwork for some of these manga. And then I have to censor the crap out of it because there's some very adult-oriented content in some of them.
Is it the manga itself that's adult oriented, or is it the fan? Or I didn't know if it was just the fan service doing it.
There are some panels in Berserk that would make anybody blush.
Wow. Well,
Very aggressive.
I have Berserk back on there, back on the shelves back there. So one of them, I've got a poll
Well,
running.
you open up the first page and you'll be like, "What is happening here?"
Yeah, I have not done that yet. I mean,
Yeah.
I've read.
The very first page. You're like, "What?"
I know. The only manga experience I have is not even manga. It's I watched the One Piece season 1 on Netflix, the live action. That's it. So I got a poll running. It's either going to be One Piece or Berserk. Right now, Berserk is killing One Piece in the poll.
That's okay.
So,
That's where I'd start.
yeah, kind of knowing where I'm at. Do you have a moment that comes to mind when you think of either a video that you created, maybe it's the House of Open Leaves that you were talking about, that just you walked away from it feeling exceptionally proud of what you did, whether it be in content itself, editing, combination of both, how you maybe described a book? Is there something that just kind of highlights to you something that you feel like you did as good as anybody could do?
Oh, I wouldn't say that ever. Anybody can do better than.
Well,
there's
you
always
know what?
somebody that can do better.
There's
than
always
me.
somebody better. But when you have a moment of pride that you go, you know what? That was pretty damn good.
House of Leaves, one from a production value. That's one of my favorites from a production value. There's a couple other ones like the one I just put up. I was very proud of that intro where I was talking to myself in the background.
That's incredible because I know what it takes to do that, folks. If you haven't seen his most recent video, it's technically genius at the opening. Continue, yeah.
It's but just the technicality of how I was going to pull that off and how I was going to match it, and I had to just put all of it together, and you couldn't tell that that's two shots stitched together.
Not
Like,
at all.
I zoomed in, I brought my son down here. I'm like, you find the stitch. Find
Right.
where I
I looked.
you
I'm
know.
not gonna lie. I
And
looked. I was like,
yeah,
no,
he pointed to a line and I was like, nope.
not it.
Anyway, but so I was super proud of that. Then
Yeah.
but I would say from like a content perspective, that's technical. Oh, there was also one other one where I did like the Hugo. I did like this black and white 4x3 intro, and I slowly expanded it out, and I faded in the color. It was super cool. It was I was talking about. Oh God, what was that book called? The Flowers for Algernon.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, so that's the technical ones, but the one from the content perspective that I was probably the most proud of, or at least satisfied with when I was done making the video, was The Dark Tower.
Yes.
I did a book review for book 7 of The Dark Tower. I did one for all of the books, and I did it just like I did my modern read-throughs. I read one a month, and I did the video every month, and I went all the way up to Song of Susanna, and I read The Dark Tower when I was supposed to, but the video never came because I couldn't. This is my favorite, my number one series of all time. It means more to me than any other series I've ever read. It's the reason I'm a reader today. And I couldn't put out subpar content because I felt like all my Dark Tower videos were not what I wanted them to be, and I just walked away. And I came back about a year later. I finally put that video together, and I sat down, and I don't know. I felt like I said what I wanted to say, and I tried to get it right. And there's this big portion at the end where I'm literally attempting to explain what the book means to me on an emotional level, and I'm trying not to like
Sure. Break down.
tear
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
as I'm talking about it. I don't know if that comes through on camera, but me in the moment,
Well, sure.
I'm like, just get out,
Get
what
through
you're
it.
trying to
Yeah.
say, you know. And then when I was done and I watched it back, I was like, I was just super satisfied with what I said. And sometimes that's not the case. You watch your
Absolutely.
video and you're like, man, I could have said all of that better, you know. But
Absolutely.
that was-
Well, I'm gonna watch your Dark Tower video tonight because I've not seen it, and I've had 2 book hangovers in my life, where I finished a book and I physically could not pick up a book for about 3 or 4 weeks afterwards because I was just, nothing's going to compare to this, so I quit, right? I'm not going to read anymore until my brain sort of resets. One of them was The Dark Tower itself. And the second one happens to be the final book in Realm of the Elderlings.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you're in for, another treat there. Yeah. Because I absolutely was floored. I was in the camp of, I just absolutely loved the Dark Tower itself. And it ended exactly how it should end for me. Yeah. So very, very cool. So we talked early in our conversation about how when you got started and you just sort of like threw it up there and hit publish and did whatever. As somebody that is, becoming more widely read, and you're doing different genres than you used to. Like you said, fantasy is a little bit more new to you, although clearly fantasy and the Dark Tower do go together.
Yes.
But for the people that are out there, and I know you may have been asked this 100 times already, but what advice do you have for people that are maybe the next John Rammel, they like books and they kind of want to maybe try their hand at doing something like this? What's your unique take on some advice for those people?
Just do it. Just get up there and do it. And then give it a shot and watch it and really watch it. Watch your stuff back and don't just be like, oh yeah, that's great because I would get like certain, like my mom would watch it. She'd be like, John, that was wonderful. And I'd watch it back. No, it wasn't. Thank you. I love you. You're supportive and that's all great, great and fine, but it's not good. So, don't be hard on yourself, but literally try to look for things, like look at your video and be like, you know what, I'm stumbling and I'm not getting my points across. What can I do to be more clear in what I'm saying. And for me, that was bullet points. And then, or, you know, why my camera looks terrible and my white balance is garbage and everything looks, what can I do to fix that? And it's just put one foot in front of the other and one step at a time. And it's, you know, it will get better. It's not might, it will.
It will. And, you know, I love that advice because it's something that I think a lot of booktubers thought I was bonkers to do, and that I do watch all my videos back and because I want to make them 1% better than the last time I did a video. I mean, that's kind of like you and I were talking earlier about, you know, if you could just pick up one little editing trick this time and maybe add it to your toolkit for next time. And then maybe in 3 months from now, you got 6 or 7 new editing tools and tricks that you can do. I did the same thing, you know, when I started the channel is I would watch the videos and going, okay, what's one little thing the next time I do a video I want to do a little bit, I can make an improvement on. So I think that's awesome advice. You know, I've got one wild card question, and we're wrapping up on an hour and a half, so we'll probably end relatively soon. But another wild card question for John Rammel: if you could have dinner with one horror author, I already know who that's going to be, but one horror author, one fantasy author, and one manga creator, living or dead, who's coming to that dinner party?
That will be. It's going to be Stephen King. It's got to be Stephen.
That one I knew.
He's going to be there. One fantasy author. I'm going to... Oh, man. That's a toss-up. I'm going to have to flip a coin because I would love to pick Steven Erickson's brain, but I'd also love to pick Ken Liu's brain. I'm going to say probably we'll just go with Steven Erickson for right now.
Erickson.
I've got a lot of questions about how he made this world and how he made it work. But you know, honorable mention Ken Liu.
Fair enough. If Steven Erickson is unavailable that night, then Ken Liu can come.
And then my manga artist period, that's not even a question either. That's going to be Tsutomu Nihei, and he is my favorite mangaka of all time. Just the art that he makes is just, I don't know. It's weird and it's sketchy and it almost looks half finished. It's not really polished like a lot of other people's are, but the style of it just speaks to me. It's wonderful. I like it. It's my favorite art in any manga.
That would be a pretty. We got another one. Yeah. What's
no? I thought you were going to say when you said that would be. I thought you were asking the manga.
Oh no! I would say that would be an incredible dinner. I want to be a fly. I want to be a fly on the wall at that dinner. Yeah. Before we get to our last segment of the show that we always do, are there any videos that you have coming up that you want to let people know about?
I do not really.
Do you kind of like fly off the whatever you're feeling like doing?
I'm a mood reader and I'm a mood content creator. Really,
I love that
part. I just kind of go with it. I don't know what I'm going to make until pretty much before I make. I mean, obviously next week will be. Next week's an easy week because it'll be the Crippled God because I will have finished it by then, and it will be my monthly wrap-up video, but that's not really anything to really write home about. I will probably have a pretty Malazan-heavy month. I'm gonna do the Crippled God, and then I want to do like a tier ranking of all the books and stuff like that. That'll be fun content. And if I can figure out how to get in touch with Steven Erickson, I would love to have like a conversation with him on the channel, but I have no idea how to do that. So,
I know people who know people, so let me try to help make that connection because I can think of 4 people off the top of my head that are in my phone that I'll know them personally. Yeah.
So I would love to make that happen just to have a little like, you know, I don't know if I do it live or if I would record it and edit it to get, you know, that was my thought. My thought immediately goes to, well, I can't do it live because then I wouldn't be able to edit the video.
I know. You know? It's like it's the best of times. It's the worst of times. It's easy to do, but you still want it to look the way you want it to look.
Right. So I might have a Malazan video every week for the next month, just as I'm wrapping it up and kind of tying, because I do want to do a Crippled God review, and I want to do a like why you should read Malazan, maybe like or not even that, but like a full series review. That way, because people that have not read the series can't watch my Crippled God video.
Right.
But I could make, now that I have the whole thing in context, I could make a video like Malazan and let me try to sell it to the people who haven't started. Maybe they're still on the fence, something like that. Let me sell you on Malazan. Kind of like, like I said, why you should read Malazan type of a video.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea because you'll be real recently finished with it. You're not waiting a year or two and forgetting key elements that you wanted to do. Well, folks, as I said, we typically go an hour and a half. We got started a little bit late tonight, but one thing we always do on every episode of BellTube, and if you're brand new here, by the way, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to John Rammel's channel at Rammel Broadcasting. That link will be in the description after we get off the air because I have to put it in there. But we do a little segment called One for the Road, and that's generally a time when I get to share my thoughts or just whatever I'm thinking about on that day. But when we do it with a live stream and on For Whom the Bell Tolls, it is our visitor, is our guest of the bell tower, whose duty it falls to provide us a one for the road. So John Rammel of Rammel Broadcasting, would you be so kind as to give us a one for the road tonight?
I'm going to piggyback off of a lot of the points I've already made, like when it comes to making videos and content. I really I couldn't come up with a one for the road. I tried, and I couldn't come up with it. But we've circled enough topics in this video that I would just like to say that I have this feeling that when I enter something new, like YouTube or anything really, I always feel like I'm just not naturally gifted at things when I try something new. And go watch my old videos, you'll see. And I just, I used to get frustrated when I was a kid because my friend, I tried to play guitar, he tried to play guitar, I wasn't very good at it, and he just took to it like a fish to water.
Sure.
And I have that feeling a lot. And now that I'm old and in my 40s, I could say just it doesn't bother me anymore. I just take a look at it. Is it not what I want? That's okay. And it's one foot in front of the other. Just if you're a little bit better today than you were yesterday, just keep walking. And maybe you're not always better, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And one day you'll look back a year, 6 months from now, and you'll be shocked at how far you've made it. Just facing forward and looking in the right direction and stop worrying about feeling bad about yourself or feeling like you're not as good as you want to be. Just know which direction you want to go.
I love that. I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't think of a one for the road because that's a fantastic one for the road. That is absolutely something that is very in line with things that I talk about all the time here on the channel, making a step forward. And the fact that those steps compound upon each other. And like you just mentioned, you turn around and you look and you don't realize at the time that those little tiny steps that you're taking actually bring you somewhere. And you turn around and you look back, like you said, on your very first videos. And my God, I mean, you made one little improvement each time. And look what you've put together now. And I'm really interested in where you're going to be, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, because if you're at this level already in terms of what you're able to do, I know that you don't seem like someone that's just going to rest on their laurels and
try
go,
not to.
Yeah, I've learned every editing, way of doing things. I've learned every way to discuss a book. I retired from learning new things. You seem like somebody who's genuinely interested in learning and trying and experimenting and exploring. And I love the fact that since you don't get down on yourself anymore about maybe you're not the greatest at something at the first time you try it, but your expectations are probably smarter now and go, I know I'm not a master yet. I have to do a bunch of things first to get there. I'm excited where your channel's going. I'm excited that you were here.
I'm excited to be here. I've had a great time. This was wonderful.
I told you an hour and a half would fly. And it absolutely did for me. As a matter of fact, I still have 2 pages of unasked questions for you. So as I start to build out my schedule for the rest of this year and 2026, would you be willing to come be a repeat guest on For Whom the Bell Tolls?
Let me know when you want me here and I'll show up.
Absolutely.
100%.
I think that would be great. Folks, for everybody that was here in the live, I want to say thank you. You guys are the life of the party here. I again apologize for the technical difficulties for those of you that were waiting around. It was all on my end, not on John's end at all. His link will be in the description. You must subscribe to his channel for sure. You guys are terrific. For you on Team Replay, you guys rock too. John Rammel, Rammel Broadcasting, thank you so much. And we will see you guys soon. Have a great night, everybody.